Welcome to the Dr. Mudgil podcast. This is episode 151. We are solidly into October here. Today was a very cool, beautiful, sunny, cool, crisp day. Really feels like fall out there. My Mets are kicking ass. So we just wrapped things up with the Phillies yesterday. Just great game. A lot of these games have all been like quite exciting. So now we move on to the National League Divisional Series. I just got to wait and see what happens there. But it's very exciting. So it's a good time to be a sports fan in New York. The Knicks getting on, the preseason is getting underway. Just got some tickets to take my family to a Knicks game. I think it's their home opener, actually. So looking forward to that. Lots of great stuff happening. This happens to be a very momentous week for the Mudgil family. Two of my kiddos actually have birthdays this week. My little guy turned 13 yesterday, and my daughter is turning 17 tomorrow. And and my third child, who's in between the two of them, his birthday's in a couple of months in December. But it's interesting this week in particular because two of my kids, their birthdays are actually just 2 days apart. It's very sort of pensive week for me for lots of reasons. But for the main part, I mean, obviously we're celebrating my kids, which is an amazing thing to celebrate. But it has me thinking, especially with like the ages that they're becoming, 17 and 13. It has me thinking, wow, like how did they get so old? And then it has me thinking, wow, how did I get so old to have literally a near grown adult and, two teenagers. But that's just the cycle of life. I remember when my daughter was, I guess she was like maybe 9 months old, 8 or 9 months old. That's when I purchased the space for my practice in my New York City office on Fifth Avenue. And I remember her coming, my wife and I went to go check it out. And my daughter was in her stroller. And, now she's a full grown 17-year-old woman who's driving, applying to college, all this wild stuff. And, it's interesting because folks would always say when we had babies that everything just goes by in a flash. Make sure you appreciate all the moments. It's almost impossible to because it does go by so fast. And when the kids are like really, really, really little, babies, it's an amazing time. It's an amazingly exciting time, especially like with your first, because it's just, such a novel experience. But the days are really, really long. Like babies get up, over the course of the night. They get up really early. You have a couple of gaps where you take, they take naps and you can kind of rest a little bit. But I remember just the days being really, really long. But the weeks and months would just like fly by until all of a sudden, the years have flown by and I have like full grown, like legit people living in my home. My sons are getting so tall and, they're taller than my wife. And it's just a wild, amazing process being a parent. And, I know, probably most of you out there who are my age are parents and, this is all old hat for you. But it still literally amazes me. It's something that I think about a lot this week in particular because we're celebrating so much in our household. So anyways, I'm going to just share a couple of things that I've been thinking about. So what I tell, it's interesting because, I've been in practice for so long now that some of my patients who had little kids, their kids have now grown up and they're now married and they have like kids of their own. So my original patient is now a grandparent and, just seeing this whole cycle play out. And what I usually tell folks is, when I tell them, wow, I have 3 kids, I like to share a lot about myself with my patients just because, I like when they share stuff about their lives and it just makes, just a lot more, pleasant, positive experience. I think it just makes for a better doctor-patient relationship. But what I always tell my patients is, I don't know if this is an odd thing or if most people feel this way, but it gets better. As the kids get older, it's just like more and more fun. My daughter who's, like I said, she's turning 17. She's someone who's like opinion I value. I pick her brain for stuff and, I love hanging out with her. She's someone that I would honestly be friends with. And I'm just so proud of the person that she's becoming, seeing my 2 young men develop in the same way. It's an amazing thing. And it always brings me back to this one thing. So when I was a junior, well, before I get to that, the other thing that's wild about my kids becoming the ages that they are is these are the ages where I still have such vivid distinct memories, like literally like these things happened yesterday. I mean, even though they happened like, gosh, like 30 plus years ago for me, some of these memories just feel like they were yesterday. And it's amazing to me that my kids may share some experiences with me or with our family that, will literally for the rest of their lives will be these like crazy vivid memories. I do have some memories from my earlier years, but very few and far between. It's kind of like when I was like, 12 or 13, from those years on, like pretty much, every year and, more and more as the years went on, there's always like, just these really like powerful memories as if like, if I really close my eyes and think about it, it's like I'm reliving them. And it's just so wild to me that, my kids are like developing these kinds of memories now. And that's just like a mind blowing, wild thought, that I can literally just get lost in sometimes when I think about it. But anyways, that brings me to like, really what I've been thinking about a lot. What I actually think about a lot this week. So when I was a junior in high school and I was taking, the class was AP American History. It was AP US History. It was the class I was taking. And we had a teacher who was a young teacher. He was like one of our younger teachers. He was like, I think must have been in his like late 30s or early 40s. But when you're like 16 years old, that seems like, a really old person, even though he was like much younger than our other teachers. But he was like a cool guy. And like we all, he was just like he was a fun teacher to be around. And I remember it must have been like after the AP exam. Like the AP exams are in May. So like after that, it's kind of just like, you pretty much, it's like dead time in those classes and you just kind of do fun stuff. And I remember we asked him, his name was Mr. Rochelle. We said, Mr. Rochelle, like what was like the best time of your life? Like what was like what were the best years of your life? And his answer to this question was amazing and something that I literally think about all the time. And he said, just not even thinking about it. He's like, well, obviously the time that you're living in now, the present, is the best time of your life. And I don't just that something that just resonated with me from that day on. It's something I think about all the time. I'm like an old man now. And when I think about like, would I want to go back to like, what were the best years? Or was it my college years? Was it during med school? Was it residency? Was it when I first got married? And the answer is now is the best time of my life. Just seeing my kids grow up and like, where I am now. And, just it's so fun and so amazing. And I just look forward to like what's forward, like I'm looking forward to tomorrow being even better than today. And it's all, I mean, I don't know if I would have felt this way regardless, but it really, just kind of crystallizing that concept. Mr. Rochelle just saying that, of course, the best time of your life is the present. It's the time that you're living now. It's something that I always think about. And it's something that I always think about this week when my kids have their birthdays, because, it just really makes me reflect on like the cycle of life. And, gosh, my kids like 10 years from now, maybe they might be married. I might be a granddad or something like that, 10 or 15 years from now. And just, it's a wild thing to think about. It's something that I've just been like really ruminating about in a good way. This week, and just want to close by saying I wish my kids a wonderful birthday and many, many more to come. Hope their life delivers everything that they could possibly want. And hope this year, this next trip around the sun for them is one that's going to be very special and memorable. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful, restful weekend and are just ready to crush the week ahead. Let's get it.